and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right-hand drives. I'm your host, Bobby. This is your host, Aaron.
Yo.
And we are back yet again for another episode. And this is episode 109.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we just broke into December here, right? That pretty much means the end of the year. Christmas is coming up.
Yep, right around the corner.
Yeah, and then it's New Year's Eve, and then boom, we're thrown into 2025. So we were like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to kind of recap 2024 in our own way?
Yeah.
Well, pretty simply by recapping 2024 in our own way.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
We're just going to kind of chat about the year, review it, how everything went, a few, I guess you could say, significant events, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we can kind of just chat about the future and any plans we have or anything, that might be going on. So, all right. So January was actually a big month, I think. January 2024 was a big month. We went to Japan, and that was obviously sweet. We got to attend our first Tokyo Auto Salon.
Yes, and that was very sick.
Yeah, and so that was excellent. We also got to check off the bucket list, driving a 34 on Fuji Speedway.
Yep, that was also very sick.
Yep, which in turn introduced us to Mickey Andrade, who later down the road we end up having on the podcast. So that Japan trip was pretty awesome for only being 7 days.
Yeah.
It was pretty jam-packed. We get to go to the Tokyo Underground meet.
Oh, yeah. That
was like
always a treat.
I think, especially because it was the first trip for Tokyo Auto Salon and whatnot, and then meeting Jesse and Jay and getting access via them to certain things. I'm not sure if, I went back, let's say, for another Tokyo Auto Salon, if I could have that same experience.
Yeah.
Because of the way it went.
Right. And it was so jam-packed full. Yeah, it was 7 days, but every single day, dude, was just nonstop.
Yeah. Which is usually how we do it, right? Yeah. Just because you're paying for Japan, you're paying that flight tax, you're over there, whether you got 7 days or 14 better feel like 21, because you only get these opportunities every once in a while. So, yeah, Japan was definitely much needed in January. And then we also, in January, hit 50 episodes, which for us at that point was a pretty big milestone.
Yeah.
50 episodes, right? And also the 34 GTR became legal.
Yes,
and that's when we first started seeing these things pop up because guys already had them on the boat in December.
Oh, yeah. They're starting to trickle in. And like you said, we met Jay and Jesse on that trip in Japan, and the R34s that they were driving are now in California, and they're whipping them around.
Yeah.
And that must be so cool. Just to kind of come full circle, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So they both, obviously, but they both are like, I wish it was still in Japan.
Yeah. Give you another excuse to get back over there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, I mean, in that, but yes, full circle, and I'm sure I'll feel the same thing when I drive it on these roads for the first time, and it's kind of like, wow, this sucks. No, I'm just kidding. It's cool. I'm excited for it, which I'll get into later. But can you remember anything else in January?
Not too much. I mean, other than the Japan trip, which another big thing for me on that trip was going to Fat Five Land.
Oh yeah,
seeing all the
Daigos.
Yeah, seeing all the Daigo stuff, and dude, that was one to mark off the list for sure.
Yeah.
That was sick. And that's probably overshadowing everything I did in January.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's hard, when, again, this trip is jam-packed and you have so many memories in just this 7-day period. Yeah, I almost forgot about Fat Five Land, but that was amazing to see the way Daigo is such a creative.
Yeah.
Like it's it's interesting because you think of him as this like insane drifter from Japan, you know, that's won all over the world, but really he's like a super creative guy.
Yeah.
You know, and just like it seems like enjoys just creating experiences, right? From whether it was his stacked containers with Ferraris and stuff in them with like a paddock on top, or like his grotto that has like a water slide and like I
with
don't
the rocks
know.
from Disney.
Yeah, like it's just like so I definitely appreciated that as well. Moving on to February. February, I feel like, especially because it's a little shorter month, but I feel like February, especially living up here, right? Because we're from Maine.
Yeah.
And like our cars are already like put away for the season.
Yeah, they sprayed salt last week, so
yeah, that was it right
that's
there.
it.
Once I heard that truck go by,
I knew I wasn't getting out again.
Yep. So. Yeah. I put the cars in storage on the insurance, called it good. That was it. Made the call. But so we don't really get much action, you know, in February. It's more we're watching everyone else kind of, you know. So one exciting thing in February for us, though, was having our first guest. If you have been a long-time listener, if you have, mad respect. But you would remember that last year, the December 29th, we did kind of our New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And one of our New Year's resolutions was having guests. We had never had a guest on, you know, in those first 50 episodes. And so finally we were able to get Ryan Zumalin on. And if you're listening to last week, you'll recognize the name. He actually just came back on the podcast. But Ryan is the owner of Carrera Media, and he publishes books, more notably the Cult of GTR.
Yep.
And so,
very cool book.
Yeah, very cool book. Like, definitely, if you're like one of these guys, it's like, dude, like, these cars are awesome, but what's all the hype? What's the deal with it? Like, his book really tells you about the behind the scenes, so to speak, like the history.
Right.
And not like a formal history, like the raw history that like actually mattered, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
you know?
He touches on a lot of key points in that book, and
he touches on things you're like, dude, what the heck? Like, you know, like the Trust Kaikaku kid working at Target and like gets the job and now runs, you know, 𝐇𝐀𝐒𝐇 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So having our first guest, Ryan, was pretty cool. I can imagine you didn't probably have a ton for February, huh?
No, not for me either. It was basically probably just working on the car a bit, you know, trying to get it ready for the next season.
So what? You probably started to wrap your car in February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was gonna get that one to the next month.
Oh, my bad. I'm jumping the gun, dude.
I think that's when I ordered the wrap. Was in February.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
We'll get to it.
So March was our 1 year anniversary, and I brought Aaron flowers, and I got him some chocolates. And
yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, for sure. The flowers are dead, and the chocolates are molded. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was also another milestone for us as far as, you know, we're just two guys here just trying to stay connected with the culture from afar. And so to hit, you know, we all know this, right? We've all started projects that fizzle out, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's part of it. Like whether you lose interest, your time disappears, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And for us to make this a priority for 365 days straight and not miss a week of dropping an episode, like that was huge for us. You know, 1 year is like, okay, you guys are sticking with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so what, is this the month? Is this the month with the rap? Or
yeah, I believe I started.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
At the end of March, I started wrapping my car, and
that was at the end of March.
That was at the end of March. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I came across a decent deal on some vinyl, and it was one of those things I've thought about it a lot, like thought about wrapping my car and thought about, you know, how it would be, watched a bunch of videos and all that, and honestly, it never prepared me enough for the job.
Yeah, that's tough. But
Yeah.
obviously, to your credit, you didn't get the best vinyl.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Like I said, I found a deal on vinyl, and that's probably the first red flag of the whole
if
thing.
If your buddy is ever like, hey, like I found a deal on vinyl,
No,
just walk away.
Yeah, because my whole thing was, I'm going to get double the amount of vinyl so I can mess it up as much as I want, and, I can redo it if it looks like crap. But, like...
Can you?
That wasn't the case. The issue was the vinyl would not...
Form
right. Yeah, it was junk. So yeah, it's one of those things where in retrospect I wish I would have just spent the money and bought more correct materials and had less of a headache and a better looking outcome. But
hey, you live and you learn.
It's one of those things. And also another thing was I was wrapping my car gray and it was already gray before.
Like one shade.
Yeah, it was like one shade off. So like even when I got it finished before I put, the splash on there, people were just like, so you're wrapping your car? Like, is it done? Like
when are you starting?
They didn't get it. And then, I had the white roof and the white hood, like the white cap on it, I guess you could say. And they're like, oh, when are you going to do the rest? Like not realizing that, the whole car has been wrapped and just the roof hood and the flat spots were a different color white.
Yeah.
So no one really understood it until I was like, no.
No, check it out. That's the original color. That's the other gray, and then the white's up there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where you live and you learn.
And so when did you actually finish that? You started in March, you finished in what?
So I finished it like a week before Import Alliance.
So July.
Yeah.
March, April, May, June. Dude, wrapping a car is no freaking joke. Dude.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things also, like, I couldn't dedicate, a full work day, 40 hours a week onto it. It was kind of chipping away here and there and kind of learning and figuring it out.
Like maybe a 4-hour spurt or something.
Right, and yeah, it's tough. I have the utmost respect for people that can wrap cars and make it look good. Or, people that can just wrap it and, people that have the skills. It was one of those things that, I didn't really think about in the beginning. But, I feel like some rappers get a bad name, or not a bad name, but people just...
like Lil Pump, dude. Like, everybody gives him a bad name, dude.
No, but people give, like, rap jobs like, oh, it's not paint. It's... paint is still superior. But, like... Dude, what people can do with some vinyl is pretty sick. Yeah. And trying it myself only gives me more respect for him.
In March, we also had our friend 𝐇𝐀𝐒𝐇𝐓𝐀𝐆 on the podcast, as well as Trevor from 𝐇𝐀𝐒𝐇𝐓𝐀𝐆. So we really started picking it up after that first guest. April. That was the month that Mark Bonna decided he was going to throw his M-Spec Ner on tracks.
Dude.
On tracks.
That dude's wild.
He is wild.
Yeah, hitting the Jersey Shore.
Yes, hitting the Jersey Shore.
With your R34.
With your R34. Yeah, like, so.
Guy's a wild man. And, now that it's snowing out, I'm thinking like,
yeah, I would rather had seen him do it in the snow as opposed to that sand. Yeah, like the snow would be sick. The sand, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little abrasive.
$500,000 car. Yeah, but then we also had the Drift Games fire right around the same time, which, if you don't know about that, Drift Games had just built out their HQ.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Insane.
It was, you just look it up. It was dope. Literally, this had to be within 4 to 5 months. Burns down to the ground.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, but they have definitely bounced back, and they're starting to build out their new HQ. I believe on one of their latest videos, they were pretty much making their garage space 2 levels. Like, I didn't watch the video yet, so it looked pretty sick though. Like they're definitely carrying on the theme, and they got a good style and a good look, so they know what they're doing. They'll be back in no time for sure, 100%.
So, moving on to May. May is when Nissan announced the 2 special R35 models that would commemorate the end of an era.
Yeah, a very long
era. Yeah.
Holy cow! About time, Nissan.
Yeah, and so for a lot of guys, this is scary because the R35's done. We all remember 2022 when the 2002 when the R34 ended, and so it took them however long, 6-8 years to come out with the next one.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys are scared because they're like, well, wait, like what's next? And so there's a lot of speculation, electric, all these different things.
Yeah.
We got to see at the Tokyo Underground meet the Hyperforce GTR, which was insane.
Yeah, I can't even put into words what that thing is. Like,
it's too much. It's crazy.
It's so futuristic looking.
Yeah.
And
it really was.
I don't even know, dude. They did some work on that thing.
Yeah, and of course we couldn't see under the hood, to see what that thing actually was. It's actually like a Versa motor that just tows that little thing around.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming into June was scary for Skyline owners because that Skyline was stolen from port in June.
In Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was ever found. Like it kind of died off. You didn't hear much about it. Like I'm not sure.
I believe a Chaser was stolen at the same time, and that ended up being recovered.
Yeah.
But dude, I've heard some crazy stuff coming out of Washington like lately. Like a guy had totaled his JZX 100, and it was stolen from the towing yard. The car was totaled, like 8 pillars crushed and everything. And they took the car. They stole it from, like, the impound.
What the heck?
Yeah. Washington's crazy. If you have a right-hand drive car in Washington, lock it up.
Props to you, yeah, for even dealing with, props to you for dealing with living in Washington.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for a lot of guys, that was a little nerve-wracking because it's like, wait, these things have only been coming into port for 6 months and they're already starting to get lifted. Like, what? Hopefully mine doesn't. Right. I'm sure that went through a lot of guys' heads. But we also don't know the backstory, how any of that happens. July, we hit up Import Alliance. July was fun. We bought a double trailer, and we loaded both of the Skylines on there.
Yeah, we did.
And we drove 20-ish hours from Augusta, Maine to Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. A drive that we both made, multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty, yeah. And so this is exciting because if you haven't listened to any of the Import Alliance episodes, our good friend Don is a creator of Import Alliance. And so we don't only go down there, and this is also where Aaron is from. Yeah, and I also lived there for almost 4 years. So we got a lot of friends there. So it's kind of, in a sense, like homecoming when we go there. There's a bunch of friends, a bunch of people, there to kind of welcome us, so to speak. And that was a blast. So, and we got to finally interview Tim Schultz.
Yeah.
Which was cool because
Tim's a good dude.
Right, and we've both known him for a real long time. So to sit down with him and kind of have that conversation was pretty cool.
Yeah. Import Alliance was, dude, it was so sick. Like, obviously got to drift my car, and that was probably the first time drifting in almost 10 years, I think. And I mean, there's nothing else like that.
Yeah.
Getting back on track for the first time, and also having my dad there was sick. Giving him rides in my car was a good time.
Yeah, for sure. That is cool as far as being able to share that, with your dad and like having him see our booth and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
That was for sure cool. And this year, since we drove, we got to actually come correct with a booth.
Yep.
And, really kind of show out. And it definitely contributed to us getting a lot more attention, which hopefully one of you guys listening was there and now is a faithful listener.
Hell yeah.
August for the 34 guys. August is if in a lot of you may not even know this. In August, Benetech and Nismo parted ways. So Benetech is the producer for all of the carbon for Nismo, and so these Z-Tune parts that got discontinued or put on hold, you know, and a lot of these other parts that kind of have slowly fallen off, those were Benetech produced parts.
I see.
So basically what happened is in January when we were there, Nismo stopped taking orders because they knew in August their contract runs up with Benetech, and it had not been re-signed. And so they halted orders on the Z-Tune stuff in order to make sure that they could fulfill what they already had by the time the contract was up.
Yeah.
Maybe they split ways because Nismo couldn't pay the bill.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, man.
Seeing how Nissan's been lately.
Hey, I'll pay the bill, dog. Like, get me a few of those. Like, holy moly. Yeah. So and now, you know, the Z-Tune full kit, which is hood, front bumper, fenders. If you can find a guy with it, $30,000 plus.
That's insane.
$30,000 plus for a hood, bumper, and fenders.
So, whenever you went to, was it Ours Day? You got the carbon fiber finisher for the exhaust on the bumper.
It's ours meeting.
Ours meeting. Yeah, what'd I say?
Ours day.
Yeah.
A bunch of dudes have been doing that lately, and I'm like, guys, come on.
My bad.
It's okay. Sorry, I'm a
GT guy over here.
So
are
yes.
those made by Benetech?
No, I don't believe so.
I wonder if that was like them trying to feel out a new vendor.
A new
or something.
vendor. Because, yeah, what he's speaking of is I found some exhaust, what do you call it, surround or shield
finisher,
or whatever. Basically that little accessory piece directly above the exhaust that mounts to the bumper.
Yeah.
And so it didn't come in a Nismo box. It did not come with and I bought this from Omari Factory.
Yeah.
And they just like, you know, because there's a huge group of us rated open, right? And it's like, they're like, oh, yeah, don't forget about these. And they, like, pull a, handful out of them out of friggin' closet, dude. And I'm like, okay, like, whatever. They pull a handful of these carbon parts, you know, these surrounds out of a closet. And they're like, yeah, we got these. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess, like, get me one, dude. Like, cool. I mean, I don't remember the price. I don't think they were ridiculous, but yes, I would assume like that was a trial run or that's something because Nismo never gives you their stuff like that.
Right.
In just a plastic bag with R33 written
It usually
on it.
has some sort of part number sticker at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't tell you the part number. Yeah. So, and it doesn't say Nismo on it. So, is this them trying to figure this out? I'm not sure. But this is bad for any of us who want OEM or Nismo parts that are carbon. This is bad news. And what I was told by Dylan Sattler is that
the plug.
The plug. There's no current vendor to replace them. There is no new contract, basically.
That's insane. So they're just gonna give up on the carbon.
I mean, they probably got to slim down a little, right?
Yeah.
So September 2024, Don came. So that's our buddy that runs Import Alliance.
Yeah.
And so he has been, super good to us anytime we're in Nashville. He's always so welcoming. And so he was, kind of coming to Boston and New Hampshire and stuff to visit some people. And he's like, hey, guys, what's up? And we're like, dude, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was really cool, kind of showing him our side of the country. And we took him on a hike up a mountain. We took him out to eat at, a local eatery. We, did the whole thing. He really had one full day, and then the next morning with us. Next morning, we took him to our favorite bagel spot. It was, it was just a good time all around to, see him and I don't know. I think what's 20? Yeah, I've known him about 20 years, like 19 years, 20 years. So that was a great one.
Oh, wow. That is, I realized that I've known him about the same amount of time. That's a long time.
It is. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say you finally got done wrapping your car and that. Oh, my bad. So October, we hit 100 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Another milestone for a couple guys that are just doing this, just to do it, right? There's really, podcasts and monetization of podcasts, and there's no money here for us. There's just the enjoyment of connecting with you guys and, putting out this info. So 100 episodes was a pretty big milestone for us. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should definitely check it out. I went back to Japan to ours meeting in October, like Aaron mentioned, and just listened to the episode. Did ours meeting, had a good time. Yeah, another week trip. I don't love the 7-day trips because it is so much packed into this short time, and you feel like you can never get it all done, kind of. Yeah. So, 7-day trips, I don't know. And then we did our first GUNET search in October. We decided to switch up the marketplace episodes, and we decided we would go ahead and do a GUNET search, so then you guys could kind of see what's available in Japan instead of what has already come over here. And so might do another one of those, at some point. That felt pretty good to me.
Yeah, it's always good to see.
Yeah. And then, of course, last month in November, Nissan revealed its big struggle.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Big struggle.
Big losses.
No
profits.
Yeah, and potentially
no
only
CEO.
6 to 12 months to live. That's insane. With rumors of Honda buying the majority. That's insane, dude. If Honda buys the majority of Nissan, that would be cool.
That would be insane.
It would be bad, but it'd be cool because one thing is like, I don't know, the history and like the path that Nissan's taken. You can never take that away from them, no matter who buys the majority.
Right.
But it's just a little different if their competitor now owns them.
Yeah.
But, however, I did hear some speculation.
More spec.
Okay. Yeah, this is bad speculation.
Oh, no.
Speculation that the only company that's going to come forward with the type of money Nissan needs, Chinese.
Oh,
yes.
No,
and they said because what they're going to try to do, I don't know this, it's just speculation, is the Chinese company buys Nissan. Now, this Chinese company has warehouses, dealerships, has the whole infrastructure in the United States to start pushing their Chinese cars.
Whoa.
Yeah, they don't have to break into the market. They slide into the market by using Nissan as like the stepping stool, which is very bad. Yeah. Very bad. The soul disappears. The soul of Nissan is already struggling. The soul disappears when a Chinese company buys it.
Yeah, and I mean, what happens to all their manufacturing when that happens? Is everything going to be manufactured or in Japan or in America? Because, I know a lot of people that work or have worked at the Nissan plant right there in Smyrna. So that's like a lot of jobs.
I think they'd be assembled here.
I see.
Their parts would come from China, and they'd be assembled here. Yes, and that's how they get past the tariffs that Trump's going to levy on them or whatever, right?
Wow.
Because that's why they don't just want to come here and open up shop.
That's a crazy move.
I know, but...
my head went somewhere completely else with it.
Yeah. What?
Making Temu cars.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, right? Like they're making 34s again.
Yeah. They make the Temu 34. You can get the shell on.
They might have a better idea. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they put out 34s again, could you imagine?
It would be crazy.
It would be. People would be buying them.
I know. Yeah, 100%. Dude, if they...
However, we need to have more faith in Nissan that they will not sell to a Chinese company. That they would only do business with a Japanese company, whether it's Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't think, but I guess, hey, dude, if it's either sink or swim, and you might be able to swim a little with the Chinese, it's better than sinking. I don't know.
That's tough.
Last month, we also had the first GTR festival, which if you haven't listened to the previous episode, awesome event put on by some Aussies. Awesome Aussies.
JDIs.
The JDIs everywhere. Yeah, I mean, which is cool. It just, all it did is help progress the love in the United States and the culture. You know, which I'm all about anything that kind of provides to the culture, because that's really what we're living in. You know, like the cars are awesome, but it's the culture. You know what I mean? So I'm all about the GTR festival. I hope they were super successful and I can attend next year.
Yeah, I'm definitely into it. This year I was like, what?
Like, yeah, no, I remember you're like, nah, dude, they just freaking drag race freaking guys. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you know.
It was one of those things where I was just.
Well, those are always the highlights.
Right.
The highlights are always them doing drag races, right?
And I'm like, Texas, drag racing, Skylines, this is going to be an R35 Trumpet Fest.
Yeah. So, it's a TX2K or whatever.
But it wasn't that.
No.
It wasn't that. It looked completely insane. And there was a bunch of builds that were there that, you know, came over probably from SEMA. So if you couldn't get up close and look at your favorite build at SEMA, then
it was there.
Definitely look at it there.
And so the future, right? Like 2025, what's 2025 looking like? 2025 for me looks like my 34 is finally coming over from the motherland.
Yeah. What month is that?
It's a December car, so it should ship mid-October.
Oof.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to attend ours meeting, so this was my last one, and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, that's 2025 for me. I would also love to get the 33, even though we just kind of talk negative about it, out to Washington for to be stolen.
Yeah,
and
insurance fraud is what we're going to talk about here.
No, to go to UP Garage and kind of just get it to the point that it needs to be at. They got the skills to do it. What do you got going on for 2025?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, right now I'm currently working on SR swapping my car. That's right, SR20, R32,
DET in the 32 photo.
Yeah, so really just been working on that. I'm going to be trying to put it in the car sometime around spring, early spring. That way I can enjoy it all summer. Definitely would like to hit some sort of drifting events. That'd be real cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
That's on the list, you know, as long as I can get the car running reliable.
Yeah, that thing's going to be screaming.
It's going to be screaming, dude. It's got an SI in it. What do you mean? But yeah, really beyond that, I'm just the kind of guy to play it all by ear, and you know, would definitely like to get out to Japan again. Japan again. You know, that's always on the list.
Well, yeah, of course.
Dude, I mean, mainly it's just going to be getting the old SR running in the R32.
Yeah.
Taking me back a few years and.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. There's nothing wrong with that, man. It's a good, reliable platform, so you can actually enjoy the car instead of, you know, just be wiping oil spots off the garage floor and shit all the time. But I'm just kidding. But it gives you the opportunity to focus on having fun instead of, you know, trying to fix things, right?
Right.
Like, that's the main thing. As far as the podcast, you know, guys, we're just going to keep doing what we can. We've got some pretty big name guests that are lined up for the beginning of 2025. I guess I can tell you one of them because it's not 2025. It's going to be in a few weeks. We're going to have RJ DeVera on the podcast. Let me get
Oh, yeah.
And so,
if you don't know who that is,
just
get out from under that rock.
Yeah, for sure. Like, RJ isn't necessarily a limelight guy. He's not out there, look at me.
Right.
But he's been behind the scenes doing stuff forever. And I believe he must be the first guy to play Gran Turismo on an actual theatrical movie. Like that's pretty dope.
Hey.
Yeah, he was. So
in a Honda Civic, no less.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we got him coming, so that's going to be great. And then some other really great guests. And then ideally this year, we'd like to start selling some cars and parts, right? Like, of course, the podcast is awesome, but we really have a passion for the cars and the parts.
Yep.
And, everybody's kind of doing this, you could say, right? But we got our own version. We got our own plans. And so will they happen? Time will tell.
Yeah.
But the intention is there. And so
absolutely,
hopefully, this time next year we'll be talking about how the website has legit parts and we have legit cars to offer.
Now we have containers landing.
Yeah, containers landing. Yeah, I mean that was 2024 and a little bit of 2025 for you guys. We definitely appreciate you listening, showing us the support. Tell your friends. That's the one thing we could ask for New Year is just tell your friends. Get us a little bit more exposure. But otherwise, follow us on the socials at RHDGUIS, and if you do want some of that merch, RHDGUIS.com. But for episode 109, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.